Hello, welcome to my channel. Thank you for coming back, and as always, huge massive thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. So a little while ago I was asked, or I have been asked, for a few different card styles that I've made on my DT samples, and people asking for videos on them. A lot of them I have done on previous videos. Some there's one or two that I haven't yet. But what I thought I would do is, it might be an idea just to have like a little short video making that one card, and hopefully it'll be easier for you guys to access and refer back to if you want to copy it again. So the first one I'm going to do is the Gatefold, the Funfold Gatefold card. And I did get asked for this one. It was made with the Snow Adorable kit as part of my samples for that. I can't remake it with that because I haven't got the papers for it, so I thought it might be fun anyway to do it in something different. And I saw this square pocket pad the other week on Hunky Jewellery, fell in love with it. It's all loads of little stamps, little pocket pad, this one. And I chose the one I want to use, which is this beautiful one with a deer. Sort of reminds me of some artwork that I may have seen when I was younger. It sort of got that vibe. And then I just cut the stamp bit out so we can layer that up, and then the deer. And then from there I went looking through my papers and pads and things to find what would go nice with it. And we've got these sort of brown tones on there. So the Gatefold Funfold, or the Funfold Gatefold even, it looks great if you've got a sort of pattern card and something a bit plainer. So I've picked these two out. They are sort of slightly different, you can see, but I've gone for that slightly darker Hessian because this one, the background kind of melds into it a bit too much. So I wanted it slightly darker so that when we've got that gold layer on there, that's going to really sort of pop a bit more. So I picked those. And then from there I went to my bigger book of Christmas sentiments, and this is probably the smartest thing I've done in ages, is to look for the sentiment before I make the card, because I found this one which is perfect, and it's gold foil, and initially I was thinking about doing silver with it, but now I know the sentiment's in gold, I'm going to be using gold with that, and it's perfect because it's stamped same as that. And then from my older little book of sentiments, I found this Delivered by Reindeer. So I'm going to be using that one. That's white and gold as well. So let's pop that to the side. What you may need, if you are a visual learner, and these are all in a pile, but I've got a template for the Gatefold, or the Funfold Gatefold, which is what it should be called. And that is on Pinterest, Facebook, and hopefully I'll remember to put it back up on YouTube, but I think it should be there already. So let's bring in a piece of 6x12 cardstock, and I'm going to start by popping this up to the 1-inch line past my cut line, and I'm going to bring the blade down, and I'm going to cut from 1 to 5 and then 7. So we'll lift it up, pop the blade back, and cut from 7 to 11. And then what I need to do is exactly the same on the other side. So we pop it up to that 1-inch mark, and I'm going to cut from 11 to 7, lift it up, and then from 5 to 1. Now you do need a bit of extra card, so I've got some offcuts here somewhere. What did I do with those? Oh, here they are. And they need to be 6 by 2. So, and we need 2 of those, 1 for each side. Okay. So let's pop this out of the way for a second, and we will bring the scoreboard in. So if you've got the longer scoreboard, it's a lot easier to do the scores. You can just follow the template. I've got the smaller one, so I'm going to go at the 1-inch down to the cut line. At the 2-inch, we go all the way along. At the 4" we go all the way along, and then at the 5" I do to the cut line, and then I'm just going to turn it over, and on that same one we've done the 1" to the cut line and the 5". And then if I turn that over, rotate it round, we're going to do exactly the same again. So 1" to the cut line, 2" all the way down, 4" all the way down, 5" to the cut line, and then just to get that score line in again, 1" and 5" to the score line, at the cut line rather. And we don't need to do anything with these because they will just go on the front. And then what we need to do is to start getting these moving in the right direction. So this one at the top is going to be going in, that one's going to be going back. Again, that one's going to be going in, that one's going to be going back. This one's going to be in, that one's going to be going back. And gently we're just going to manoeuvre these the way we want them to go, and then once we've got them going which way we want them to go, we can then start to bring our burnishing tool in. And it does take a little while for you to work out how they are going to go together, but if you remember, these two here are going to fold into the center, and then pretty much everything else will work its way into place from there. So you can see how that comes together. And then what I'm going to do, just like usual, just bring in my burnishing tool, just going over all of those little scores and folds. I'm remembering to do the underneath ones as well. And the better you burnish this down, the better it will fold. Just making sure they're nice and straight as well. And you're going to end up with a card that looks like that. Okay, so that's the start of our card. And then what we're going to do with these is we're going to glue these onto the fronts like so. And then what we'll have is our gatefold, which will close down. Now I'm going to use just my normal all-purpose and tacky glue on here. So a little bit of tacky on these corners. And along, you could use your red liner tape if you want to, but I'm just going to find it easier just to slide that into place. And we'll hold that down. I can see that cut line could do with a little burnish, but we will sort that afterwards. And then we will do the same over here. A bit of tacky in those corners. You could use your tape pens as well, whatever glue you usually like to use. Just making sure I've got the same colour card to card, because one side is slightly whiter than the other. And then just making sure that's nice and square. And then if we fold it together, just make sure that is nice and square. And we've got that nice join in the middle. Should fit exactly because it is that 6 inch, it's the same cardstock. So there's the start of our card now. Okay, so let's put the lids back on here for a second while we do the cutting out, because there is quite a lot of cutting out to do. Okay, so I'm going to start with a piece of A4 gold because we've picked the sentiment out. And I'm going to start by taking that 2 notches under the 6, because that's the longest any of these pieces are going to be. And if I do these 2 panels first of all, which are 2 by 6, and if I take 2 notches or 1/8 off the 2, that is going to fit perfectly onto there. Okay, let's bring those in so you can see them. Now these two panels here, so we've got one here and one here, they are 2 by 4. So again, if I take 2 notches off that 2, and if I take 2 notches off the 1, I'm going to have a piece that fits in there beautifully. And then I'm going to take another piece that's 2 notches under the 1. And that's going to fit into there perfectly. And then if I take this to 2 notches under the 4, it's always easier to cut the little pieces first of all. That one's going to fit into there beautifully. And then I'm going to do the same again here. So we're going to cut 2 notches into the 2. I'm going to take 2 notches off the 1. That one's going to fit into there beautifully. Same again on here. 2 notches under the 1. And that will go on there. And then we can take this piece to 2 notches under the 4, which will be the piece for that side. Okay, so I think that piece is going to be too small, so let's get rid of that one. Now this piece in the middle is 4 by 4. What I am going to do with this piece is cut that one 2 notches under the 4 by 2 notches under the 4. Okay, so that's going to be our piece that goes in there. We can always take a little bit more off. Oh no, we don't need to, it just fallen down. Let's take this remainder to 2 notches under the 1, because we've still got 2 pieces here that we need to do, and they need to be 2 notches under the 2. Like I said, there's a lot of cutting out on this one, and then this one should be nearly there. 2 notches under the 2. Now also on here technically there are 4 pieces that are 1 by 1. Okay, now I only cut the 2 pieces for these middle pieces, so I do 4 of these pieces because this one here is hidden, so I kind of feel like there's not much point doing it. So if we take it to 2 notches under the 1 and 2 notches under the 1, and we want 4 of those, so just repeat that 4 times. And it's up to you whether you want to decorate those pieces or not. You might want to use plain cardstock, you might want to just use peel off, you know, there's loads of different ways you can do it without cutting these small pieces if you don't want to. I'm going to just use a bit of tape to keep that in place, and we'll get that last one there. Okay, now I've still got those pieces left over, so they will go into my bit box. Then we're going to come to the patterned paper. Now I'm going to see how this is going to cut on here. Hopefully it is going to cut okay with my trimmer blade, but I'm going to cut it at 5 3/4, and then I want this to be 1 3/4, and that's going to be a piece for the outside. Then we want 1 3/4 again for the other side. And then I want these pieces here to be in the same, so 1 3/4 by 3 3/4. That's just going to bring that pattern in and break it up from the Hessian that we're using. So one more, 1 3/4 by 3 3/4. Okay, and then all of these other little bits along here in the background here are all going to be this Hessian. So So let's start with the biggest piece in this case, which is the 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, which will be this piece for here. And then we need to cut that at 3/4 of an inch. And that needs to be 1 3/4. Okay, and those are going to be done. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, and we need 4 of the 3/4 by 3/4. So what I'm going to do is just skip ahead to where I've cut those out. Okay, so that's the last one done. And then the last thing I need to cut is a mat for this pocket pad. So it is, let's have a look, 3 1/4 plus 1 notch. So we are going to go 3 1/4 plus 2 notches. So we're just 1 notch or 1/16 under the 4 1/2. That should fit onto there perfectly. Lovely. That was just the piece that was in my bit box. Get rid of that one, get rid of that one. I'm going to throw that one away. Okay. Now, another useful thing to do at this point is just put the pieces that are the same size together. Just make sure that they are square up against each other. The reason I say this is because sometimes, and this did happen with one of my cards recently, which was really annoying. I was cutting a lot of the 1-inch strips, and somewhere along the line one of them went off a little, just a little, but I didn't notice until it was on my project. So what I have been doing is all of the pieces that are the same size, if I just bundle them together like this, not only does it keep them organized, but I can see if there's any that are slightly bigger, slightly smaller. So again, with the golds, it was the white cardstock that had gone off, but you can see they are all pretty much exactly the same. Oh, got another one there. Let's make sure you are. And then we should have 4 of these little gold squares. They are all the same. And then those again. Okay. So let's start and assemble this gorgeous card. So I'm going to start with the cardstock. I'm going to be using the tacky glue and the all-purpose glue. With the papers, I'm going to be using the all-purpose glue and the dotty tape pen. Let me just bring that down. We can flatten that out a bit. Just make sure we've got that nice. And with the centerpiece especially, just check that you're not interfering with any of those lovely folds. So I'm just going to put, and if you're happy with your glue, you may have a perfect glue that works with both of these mediums, with the paper, with the cardstock. Then you probably only need to use one glue. I tend to find that the 2 glues work for me, especially when I'm making videos. But as I always say, you do you. Okay, so we've got that piece there. Now let's do this one. And again, you could be putting your papers on before you put them in, whichever works for you. Both work the same, in my opinion. Either. And then I'm just checking with these pieces. It does seem to be that the flowers are going upwards. So we'll try and keep them all orientated the same. just put that all-purpose glue on. When I'm happy, press those dots down. That will keep it in place. If I am unhappy, like this corner here is just slightly over, I can just pop that up, wiggle it over a little, and everything is perfect. Let's do this one first. And the reason why I'm putting a line there is just because I'm being lazy. Instead of lifting it up and dotting it down, let's pop that into there. And then again, just trying to keep, if there is a pattern, just keep checking to make sure, especially if you've got your card working, you know, out on the desk this way, just make sure that you're working your patterns the right way. And again, we'll just float that on. Just using that glue in the best way I know how. And my patterns are not going to match because I've not planned it that way. But when the card is opened, it's more important that they kind of match left to right, if you know what I mean, rather than, let me show you what I mean when I put this one on. So this should pretty much match up with this pattern here, and that's more important because when the card is shut, that is what you're going to see. So don't worry too much about these pieces following on. I mean, this is not one of those patterns where you have to be dead on anyway, especially once you've got a little sort of topper on it and things. But you know, it's just one of those things to consider if you are somebody that likes to see that pattern repetition. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. You know, it's one of those things. Okay, so you can see how it's coming together now. Those bits on. And I would say this is probably not the type of card that you would give to just anybody. I think this is going to be a card that you make for somebody special, or you're making to sell for somebody special. So, you know, make sure if you are selling this sort of card that it's sold for a price that appreciates the time that it's taken you to make it. That's what I'm saying, because it's not a quick card, this one. That's where we're at the moment. Okay, now the other thing, what I'm going to do is these bits, I am going to glue them before I pop them on. The other thing I'm just going to say is, if you wanted to, I'm putting the picture in the middle, which is what I've done with the others. But if you wanted to, what you could do is use maybe a trim me insert on this insert piece here, and then have the topper on the outside, sort of where I'm going to have the sentiment, if you like. And these little bits are the trickiest bits to get straight, but let's just do our best. Need to go a little to the top there. There's one. And this dotty tape pen, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again, it is the best thing I've ever used in tape pen out of all the tape pens I've ever had to use, because it does, with the papers, it does give you that little window of opportunity to move, to readjust it once you've put it down, which I've never found it in the tape pen before. I don't know whether it's just because it is the dots, or whether it is this particular tape pen being so very good. But it's one of my favourite things, one of my favourite tools, and I don't say that lightly. We're just going to keep on moving through these. And it is, I'm not going to say fiddly, but you know, you do need to concentrate a little bit while you're doing it. That's what I'm going to say. Because they are smaller bits, and the smaller bits do take that little bit of thinking about. I mean, if you wanted to as well, you possibly could get away with a piece of adorable scoreable. If you've got an A4 embossing folder, you could emboss it and then just add these side panels on. This is not going on right, let me just check that out. Yeah, just add the side panels on, decorate the sides and the middles, you know, here, 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 and leave the sides as your, it's a little bit messy that one, but we'll be fine. And these ones, I'm not even going to try with the all-purpose, I'm just going to use my tape pen, hope for the best. They're pretty much going to be there. But yeah, you could do that and just decorate those pieces instead. It's up to you. I kind of like the effect of it all being decorated, I have to say. You know, sitting here and working through it does give me that little sense of satisfaction. There we go, last one. Do you know, I thought doing a shorter video I would have to talk less, but I think I've talked more. Maybe because this is the type of card it is. We'll see what it's like with the next one. Okay, so all I need to do now is just add those in with those other glues. What you will see is there will be a little bit of a ridge where it's folded against its upper friend, but it's not noticeable once you get these bits on, once you put your mats and layers on. So I'm just going to work my way around popping these in. The other thing I will say while I'm just doing this is the other cards that I've been asked for, and this is the order I'm going to be doing them. I was asked for the sort of it's like a Z fold, the one with a 5 that I did with that last DT batch. I've been asked for that, so I will do that next. Hoping to sort of do it maybe for the weekend, but it might be sort of this time next week. And then the other one that I have been asked for is the stepper. I do the little faux stepper with the 2 uprights. So those are the 2 that I have planned at the moment. I know a while ago Bernice asked me about one with wings on. There was a card with wings on. I haven't actually made that card myself yet because I'm waiting for the right topper to come along. But to be fair, this pocket pad could work itself into that style of card quite well. So that is a possibility for card number 4 in this little set of videos. Again, we'll see how it goes. So these little pieces, just making sure that I've got my Hessian going the right way. Doesn't matter if the patterns match, but there is a weave. So at the moment you can see that's going sideways, that's going upright. So hopefully you can see the difference. But with this Hessian, so just popping these ones in, just again using the dotty tape pen on those little ones. They do stick better with it, I have to say. Oh, that was a bit on the wonk. Let's just grab that up. Like I say, you do get that little window of opportunity. That's a bit better. And popping that one in and down. Okay, now the other thing I want to do before I go any further is to grab, this is a Jelly Roll white gel pen. I'm not going to do any so much on here, I don't think. Let's see, how big is that topper going to be on there? Yeah, so it's not worth doing any on there. But on these ones, what I'm going to do is just put my little dots, which are going to be my sort of faux snow. Just turning it more into a sort of wintry theme. And it's just a question of just putting some random dots on and allowing those to dry. And you can go as big or as small as you like. And it's just a subtle thing. Actually on this one, this bigger drops are slightly better. And I will be covering some of this up to a certain extent, and it's going to be a case of what you feel is enough. Sorry, just colouring. My mouth switches off when I'm colouring. But you can see how as it's drying it really sort of comes to life a little bit more. So let's pop that to the side. Just pop that down. And then we've got paper here again going onto this mat. Oops. And we're going to pop a lovely little stamp on. We're happy we can press that down. I think, where's my other dear gone? There you are. I think we're probably just going to go with some 1mm. Don't want it too high in the middle, otherwise that is going to struggle to close. And because we have got that card on there, there will be a bit of a heft to it. So you are looking at a sort of generous envelope or a little box. If you're not great at making boxes like myself, so that's at the moment I think it's 6x4, exactly 6x4, so I would probably go 5x7 anyway, just for that bit of extra room in the envelope. If you're not great at making boxes, maybe a little gift bag, instead of having sort of the handles, make it a really simple gift bag and use ribbon to close it. That would work quite nice. Depends, I suppose, on whether you're hand delivering. I tend to think if it's a special card, you're probably going to be hand delivering. But it's up to you. Okay, so here again we're just popping these layers on, 1mm like I say. You could go higher if you want to, kind of keeping it quite low. Not a nice amount of support on there though, because this is paper of course. And I'm going to do just pop tiny weeny bit. Oops, if it'll leave me. I've very dry hands at the moment, so I do apologise. Not quite sure why, because sometimes they go a bit dry when the heating goes on, but we haven't had the heating on. Still quite warm here in the UK, even though we are now in, it's very hard for me to say, meteorological autumn. It's not a word you can say when you've had a few too many. Unless you're a scientist, of course. You could probably say anytime. Right, so purple glue stick just gives me that little bit of wiggle room time on these glue pads. Like I always say, I never take it to the project because I think, well, I tend to get a little messy with it. It's very easy to get a little messy with it. There we've got our little deer going on. Now, do I want to lift that up again? Let's see. No, I think we're going to be fine. I think we can go for another 1mm. Again, this is, you know, decisions that you can make. So don't need to put quite as many on here because we have got that cardstock of the gold mirror now supporting it. These foam pads as well, I should mention, these ones came from a Fix-It. I do love their foam pads. I also love the Hunky Dory ones, but it just worked out cheaper for me to bulk buy from a Fix-It than buying from Hunky Dory. But let's pop this last piece on. That's going to go pride of place in that centre. So let's see how that really does. I want that again in a second. Let's put that one out of the way and that one out of the way as well. Now, just to finish this off, what I am going to do is bring in, see now I think that should have been more of a brown. But we're so clever. Let's just have a quick look in the book if there is a brown. I bet there isn't. That's birthday. Where have I put it? Somewhere safe. Here we go. Will teach me to be a smart ass, won't it? As my mum used to say. Right, so we've got green, we've got red and gold. Red would go because we've got the red here, and I was planning on using red gems. Blue is silver, purple is silver, green is silver. Right, okay. We got jammy there. So the same one with a special delivery for you. Swap you out. Now is that other one, the white one, going to work? We might have to change that one as well. Okay. Never works out the way you planned, does it? Okay. So what I'm going to do with this one I can go 2mm. I know it's still going to create some heft to it, but I think it will be fine in a 5x7 envelope myself. There we go. So I'm just going to pop some glue on. I'm going to bring this across the bottom there. So when that's open, you're just going to have that coming over that corner. Okay, now if I grab that same little Christmas book, and then we want a little one in the red. Wishing you a cozy Christmas. Just going to spin through. What's this one in the red? Yuletide wishes, thinking of you. I haven't got that in the red anyway. We've only got it in the brown. Okay. One last, I think I have got one more Christmas book I might not have. Nope. Okay, so what I would do is if I had another one in the red, I would either come across like so, delivered by reindeer, or you can just pop it in and sort of bend it up a little, or you could come off the side, whatever. But I'm gonna save that because I'd rather have something red in there. So I will find something red. Don't know if it will be for the photograph of this, but at some point there will be something red. Now, just to finish this off, I've got these cheap red gems that came from Temu. And I picked the red because we've got the red in the poinsettia, and obviously we've got the red in the tag now. And if you've got a die cut with grandma, mum, nan, dad, whoever you're sending it to, you could put this in here in red. I'm going to pop one down there. So we now got 4. And then I want 3 over here as well. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So that is the finished card. Just see that glue's come off a little bit there. So that is the Funfold Gatefold. Let's do it that way even. The Funfold Gatefold. Like I say, I mean, it looks alright with nothing there, but it would look nice with something. Might have a little think, but I will put a picture as it is at the moment. Obviously, you're going to have whatever supplies you've got to hand to bring that in. I'm guessing you could even come in the centre of these flowers with a little red gem, you know, to bring up the flowers, add that sort of colour in. But that is that card. So that's the Funfold Gatefold. Like I say, I'll put the template up on YouTube again for you, but it's also over on my Pinterest and my Facebook. I think there is a section called templates, so most of the templates are now in there. The next one I do is going to be that Fancy Z fold with the 5 strands, which is a beautiful card. Again, takes a lot of card or paper. But we'll get there when we get there, and we'll see what we're going to use. But the cards that I'm doing with these are perfect for using with your pocket pads and your other pads. I mean, if you've got the Polaroid die, that would probably, the small one would probably fit in there as well. So loads of hunky-dory supplies that you could use with this card. But that's it. So it was supposed to be a quicker video, but it's nearly half an hour. But until next time, thanks for watching and happy crafting. Bye.